Morning, second graders, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be focusing on math. Today is our first math video, and we are going to be working with Module 7, Lesson 1. Again, if you have your math workbook, that's going to probably be page 1. If you went and picked up one of the packets, you are going to be able to find it in that packet, and it's going to be looking something like this on the front page. But you don't need your math book for right now. Right now, we're just going to focus on going over some of our math vocabulary words so that you understand some of the words that are used in the directions and in your math book. The first word is, and all three words are up here. Feel free to write these down in a math notebook or a piece of paper. The first word is going to be table, okay? A table is how you would show the data that you're going to collect. So a table is kind of like how something is going to be displayed so that people can see it, a way that it's going to be organized. So here I have a table right here, and I have it organized according to different types of animals. I have bird, mammal, reptile, and fish. But this is considered a table, and this is the data in my table. So this is a table about animal characteristics, and all of this information is considered my data. Okay, so data is something that you collect, information that you're able to gather about a topic or a subject. So something that we do at Lloyd is we collect data on how many students come to school every day in the month. So, and we display this data outside of our classroom. We have a chart. And we have a table. A table and a chart are kind of similar. We have a table outside of our class, and we are displaying our attendance data. And we're using stickers to show every day that students came in a particular month. Okay, and the last vocabulary word is tally marks. And I've drawn a few up here. So this is what 5 looks like, and then this is what 10 looks like. So when we're going to draw a tally mark, one tally mark is going to stand for 1. You know, we have 2 tally marks is 2, 3 is 3, 4 is 4, and when we get to 5, we're not going to put the 5 here. We are going to put the 5 here. And then this total equals 5. So that's how you count tallies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. So when we're counting by 5s, we can count tallies really easily by telling when they have the mark going down them diagonally, we know that that's automatically going to equal 5. We don't even have to count them. We just know when we see this that it is 5. So then we know, oh, I can just count these really quickly by counting by 5s. So then I would go 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, so we went over all of our vocabulary words. So I'm going to ask you to think about a question I'm going to ask you. And I want to know if you can tell me what has 2 legs, wings, feathers, it could fly, and what animal would that be? A bird, right. It's a bird, and we know that because I've just described all of the bird's characteristics. A bird has feathers, it has wings, it has 2 legs, it lays eggs, and it is warm-blooded. The other characteristics about the other animals are a mammal. Mammals have hair or fur. The mothers feed their young milk. They give birth to live. So when they give birth, the animals are alive already. They're not eggs, they're alive. They have lungs, and they are warm-blooded. We are mammals. The next one is reptile. So we know reptiles have scales, dry skin, 4 legs or no legs because a snake is a reptile and it doesn't have any legs. It usually lays eggs, and it is cold-blooded. The last type of animal is fish. And the characteristics of a fish are they have scales, they have fins, they have gills, they lay eggs, and they are cold-blooded. I'm going to do is I am going to go over I'm going to kind of read some descriptions of some animals, and I would like you to let me know what category the animals belong in. So we're going to classify our animals and we're going to put them into this table. Again, this is our table, and we're going to put the data that we're going to collect by organizing our animals into the different types of categories on our table. Okay, the first one, and we're going to be using tally marks to show our data. We could put the different pictures of the animals that are in the different categories, and we could collect the data that way. Or we could use just a number. We could use like a number 2, but we're going to use tally marks because that's what we're practicing right now. And I want you to know how to count using tally marks, and I want you to know how to use tally marks because you could see them in a lot of different places. Okay, so the first card is a snake. Okay, rough green snake. That's the name of it. It's called a rough green snake, and it lays 4 to 12 eggs, sticky eggs, under a flat stone or log. So what category do we think a snake would go in? If we look back to our characteristics, we can see it says that it lays eggs. So I'm going to think, I know it's not a fish. I'm going to say it's a reptile. So I'm going to make 1 tally mark because we have 1 reptile, and that is a snake. The next card is an African penguin. The African penguin lays 2 eggs at a time. That's all the information that we have. So it's either going to be a fish or a reptile, or it's going to be a bird. What do you guys think a penguin would be? All we know from this card is that it lays 2 eggs at a time, but we can look at the description in the picture on the card, and we can see that it has 2 feet, it has wings, and it has feathers. A penguin is going to be a bird in the bird category. So let's put a tally mark. 1 for bird. We have 1 bird and we have 1 reptile so far. Here, we have a fish. Okay? We basically already know what category that's going to be in because we can see very easily that it's a fish. And on the card, it says that it has scales, it has fins, and it has gills. So very easily, we know that was an easy one, fish. Right here, we have an owl. Okay, this is actually called a barn owl. And it says a barn owl usually lays 4 to 7 eggs at a time. So we know that fish lay eggs, reptiles usually lay eggs, and birds lay eggs. So we have to figure out what category the owl is going to fit into, so we have to look at the picture. It looks like an owl has 2 feet, it has feathers, and it has wings, so an owl is a bird. So let's put another tally mark. So now we have 2 birds. The next one is a polar bear. So the polar bear's thick coat of insulated fur protects against the Arctic cold. Okay, A polar bear. Okay, it does have hair or fur. The mothers feed their young milk. I do know that. It gives birth to live polar bears. And polar bears are warm-blooded. So I'm going to say that a polar bear is a mammal. And the last one that we have is a seahorse. And male seahorses carry eggs in brood pouches. They swim usually a small fin on their backs. So they swim with just a small fin on their backs. So right there we know that they have fins, they lay eggs, so it has to be in the fish category because there's no other categories where they have fins. So that is going to be a fish. Okay, so again, if we were to add these up, we would know we had 2 birds, 1 mammal, 1 reptile, and 2 fish. Okay, so now you have an idea of how we put the data in the chart, and we were able to figure out where the data belonged by looking at our other table that showed the characteristics of the animals that helped us figure out where we needed to put the different animals on the table. Okay, so now we're going to actually open up our books or your paper to the lesson 1 problem set. Okay, so we're just going to go over a couple of examples together, and you're going to do some of them on your own. So make sure that you read the directions, because number 1 says count and categorize, which is what we did. We categorized the different animals according to the description on the cards. And we also categorized the characteristics of the fish, not of the fish, of these animals by putting different characteristics for each of them. So for number 1, they want you to use tally marks to show your answers. For number 2, they want you to use the numbers. So when you're using the numbers, instead of using the tally marks, you would just put the number 2. You would put the number 1, number 2. You would use the numbers instead of the numbers. So let's just do number 1. It says, how many of those animals have no legs? Okay, if you look, there's only 2 animals. So you should have 2 tally marks for no legs, because we see that there's a snail and a snake that have no legs. Okay, number 2, you're going to be counting how many animals have fur and how many animals have feathers. Number 3 is on the back. It says use the animal habitats table to answer the following questions. So what I like to do right away is I like to add up the tally marks to see how much is in each of the boxes. So for the forest habitat, we have 6 animals that live in the forest habitat. For the wetlands habitat, we have 5 animals. For the grasslands, we have 14 animals. So most of the animals are living in the grasslands. So letter A says, how many animals have habitats on grasslands and wetlands? When we see the word and, that should tell our brain, I need to add. Okay, so we're going to add how many animals are in the grasslands and the wetlands together. So we're going to add 14 plus 5 for letter A. Letter B says, how many fewer animals have forest habitats than grassland habitats? Fewer. That word should pop out in your head, because we have learned math words, and when we see different words in word problems, it should tell our brains if we're going to add or subtract. So fewer means we need to subtract. So how many fewer animals have forest habitats than grassland habitats? Okay, so we can see the forest habitats, we have 6. And we're going to take 6 away from the grassland habitats, which is 14. So you're going to subtract 14 minus 6 for letter B. Letter C, how many more animals would need to be in the forest category to have the same number as animals in the grassland category? So how many more? We're going to be subtracting. We're going to be subtracting the grasslands, which has more, which is 14. And we're going to be subtracting that from 6, which is how many is in the forest habitat. And letter D says how many total animal habitats were used to create this table. Total means you have to add. It's the total amount, okay? So we have only 3. We have forest, wetlands, and grasslands, okay? And then you're gonna do number 4. You're gonna be using the animal classification chart, and you're gonna be answering the same kind of questions that we did for number 3. It says how many animals are birds, fish, or reptiles? So you're gonna add the birds and the fish and the reptiles together. So that would be 6 plus 5 plus 3. Okay, so you guys can do B, C, D, and E on your own. And please send those answers to me on Google Classroom. So again, you're gonna do number 4 on your own, and you're gonna send me the answers for A through E on Google Classroom, okay? Thank you guys so much for joining me for this math lesson. I hope to see you again. Well, I will be seeing you again because we're gonna be making all kinds of videos for you. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you remember to use our new math vocabulary words, table, data, and tally marks. Those are very important words that you're going to continue to see throughout your life and all kinds of things because you're going to be looking at all kinds of tables and charts and data of all kinds. So this is very important information for you to understand. Thank you. Have a good day.